This is the studio behind some of the biggest creations in gaming. Rockstar Games, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, Max Payne. This name represents prestige, billions in revenue, and a global success that has endured for years. But behind the success lies a reality rarely seen from the outside. This is the story of the developers, real people, fighting against burnout, silence, and pressure. In 2010, an anonymous letter appeared online. It was signed by the determined wives of Rockstar San Diego employees. And this letter was a cry for help. It revealed that developers were being forced to work 12-hour days, 6 days a week, to finish the first Red Dead Redemption. And this was just one example. Mandatory overtime, dropping morale, deteriorating health. Developers were treated like machines. Rockstar's response was vague. Our environment is passionate and supportive, they said. But the letter had already echoed across the industry. The IGDA stepped in, and for the first time, Rockstar's flawless image began to crack. But that crack wasn't just about one studio or one game. It pointed to a systemic issue that had been accepted in game development for decades. The idea that great art requires great sacrifice. As if success demanded suffering. As if the best games could only be made by breaking the people behind them. In 2018, it happened again. Red Dead Redemption 2 was about to launch, and Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser said in an interview, "We worked 100-hour weeks." The backlash was immediate. Houser walked it back, saying it applied only to a few writers and was entirely voluntary. But the industry knew better. Former employees began speaking out. One said, "I worked 80-hour weeks until I collapsed. If I didn't, I'd be fired." Another described a culture of fear. People showing up to the office on weekends, just in case the boss stopped by. No one was openly forced into overtime, but if you didn't, you fell behind. It wasn't passion, it was pressure, disguised as pride. Games like Max Payne 3 were described by developers as a death march. People drained themselves, hoping that if the game sold well, their suffering wouldn't be in vain. In some offices, lists were posted on walls. Those who didn't log enough overtime were marked in red, underperforming. For years, Rockstar's culture was seen as brilliant, but brutal. It was a place that attracted the most talented people in the industry, because so many had dreamed as kids of making games like GTA. But those dreams often turned into burnout. Long nights blended into mornings. Family events were missed. Mental health ignored. All for the sake of the next masterpiece. But then something began to change. In 2010, the pandemic hit, and like everyone else, Rockstar was forced to shift to remote work. And something unexpected happened. Morale went up. Productivity didn't fall. Bonuses were handed out. Care packages were sent. For the first time, developers felt like human beings, not just cogs in a billion-dollar machine. Inside Rockstar, reforms were introduced. Toxic managers were fired. Contract workers were given full-time jobs. New rules were set. Every hour of overtime would be compensated with time off. Overtime was now voluntary, not mandatory. One employee said, "We're no longer a boys' club. We're a real company now." Slack messages replaced late-night office meetings. The days of staying late just to be seen were gone. Employees were encouraged to shut down their computers to rest. They were allowed to live. Even GTA 6 was shaped by this new culture. At first, a massive map covering North and South America was planned, but it was scaled down to just a fictional Miami and its surroundings. Rockstar explained, "We'll expand the world later through updates, but we won't do crunch." A decision unthinkable in the old Rockstar. And for a time, it worked. Until one email arrived. At the start of 2024, Rockstar told all employees to return to the office full-time. No exceptions. The reason? Security and productivity. Because GTA 6 had entered its final stage. but not everyone agreed. In the UK, more than 170 employees signed a petition to keep hybrid work. Some had moved closer to family. Others had joined Rockstar with the promise of remote work. Now, they were told, change your life or leave your job. The backlash was intense. How could a company that had just made reforms fall back into old habits, especially when games like Spider-Man 2 were developed almost entirely from home? Research shows that remote work, when managed well, doesn't harm productivity. And the issue wasn't just about work, it was about trust. Trust that had taken years to build, now felt broken. Critics argued this decision wasn't really about security or productivity. It was about control, about crunch culture quietly returning. GTA 6 still has no confirmed release date. Early 2025 was the target, but recent developments suggest a delay is very likely. And as developers are forced back into the office, many are asking, will this final stage burn us out again? If Rockstar returns to its old ways, the human cost could be devastating. The very people who built its legacy may not remain. Talent could leave. Morale could collapse. And even the games might begin to reflect that exhaustion. Because in the end, it's not just about making a big game. It's about the psychology of the people who make it. We must not forget, behind every pixel, every line of code, every scene, there's a person, a voice, a life. And perhaps now, the industry must value those lives as much as the games they create. Because without them, there is no Rockstar, no GTA, no Red Dead, no legacy worth protecting. Crunch can deliver results, but at what cost? If a game is built on silence, burnout, and broken promises, can it truly be called a masterpiece? Now, Rockstar needs to ask itself this question.